Hi everyone, my name is Malvin and I'm going to be giving you the tutorial for 3D modeling. So first, open up your Rhino and then you want to make sure all these options are on: planar, OSNAP, Smart Track, Gumball, and then end, point, mid, intersection, perpendicular, and tangent. After that, you want to check on your units by typing units and change your model units to centimeters. It's easier to work in real life scale. And hit OK. Then you want to delete all these layers that we don't need and rename this current layer into image. Now, let's go to top view by double clicking it. And then type in picture, or if you're working with Rhino 5, it's picture frame. Then locate your plan drawings. I usually have this big folder that I put on the desktop, and then I separate them into different exercises. It's easier to organize your folder and then go back and forth rather than having them scattered around your desktop. Now select that and open. And then determine the first corner and second corner. Now zoom in, and then I know that this hallway is around 90 centimeters. So let's scale that by selecting this image, type scale, space, and then click from one end. And while dragging your cursor, you want to hold shift to make sure it's on ortho, and you hit tab so it stays on track. And then you move all the way to the end of the hallway and click there, and you can type in your dimension. For this, it's 90 centimeters. So I'm going to open it that way. In terms of modeling, there are no specific ways of doing it. So I'm going to show you how to apply some of the commands in modeling your furniture. For example, I'm going to model this furniture. First, change it to shaded view. I'm going to model this desk. So let's go ahead and create a new layer. And always create a new layer every time you want to model a new object. I'll call it object dash the name of the object. Go to that layer and lock the image layer. Now, first I want to start by using top view and trace the outline of this desk. I use rectangle tool because it's pretty straightforward, but let's say you have something more organic like that, you can actually trace it with this control point curve, and then you can click and add more points and follow the outline. But in this case, I'm going to use this. I'll go back to perspective view, and you will do this a lot, going back and forth. Extrude curve, add the thickness, and delete the curve. Use this gumball because it will help you to move around, or it will help you to rotate, scale. And you can also click on the direction that you want to move, and you can type the dimensions that you want, or you can click on the rotation tool and you can type in the degree of rotation that you want. Another way of modeling thicknesses like this is by using box. You can click here or you can type box. Normally box will ask you from one corner to another corner and then determine the heights, but in this case we want to do the 3-point settings. So click on 3 points, determine first corner, second corner, and for the third corner, add the thickness and drag it down. You can also copy this because there are more vertical faces by doing Control C and then Control V, and then you can do move and move that over, or you can also do the command copy, which will instantly do the moving and copying at the same time. So from one corner like this, either I want to keep it on track like that and move it around, or I can type in dimensions. Then I noticed that I actually need some space at the back, and I want to make it shorter in one dimension. So the way to do it is to select everything and type scale 1D, the base point, first reference point, and then either you can actually match it to your plan, or you can also put in the dimension again. There's another command to actually mirror this, so you can select those, type mirror, and you can determine the axis. It will give you an exact copy but in a mirrored sense. So notice how this is just one solid object, and we want to do that, and right now we have separate faces. In order to do that is by selecting all the things that you want to join together, and then type Boolean union, and then what it does is combining them into one. But you can see how the faces are still separated, so we want to smooth it out. So select the object and then type merge all faces, and it will give you a smooth face. Another way is I want to subtract this with that. So type Boolean difference while selecting the object that you want, and delete it with that. And then I want to draw this moment over here, which is the curved edges. I can do it by using polyline. Then I will go to top view. And I want to round the corners. So type fillet corners, and you can type in the dimension that you want. And let's say I'm happy with that. Then we are going back to perspective. Now we want to split and delete this axis. So go ahead and type split. Split it with this object. And then only selecting that, delete them. Now, by using polyline, you can actually join the open edges. Select the two curves, type join. Notice it says one closed curve, that's good. You don't want open curves. Now, type extrude curve, and do it to the thickness. Now you can join them again. Now, in order for me to detail this drawer, I want to take like a 2D profile of this face and actually draw it from elevation. So type dupe face border and select the face so you get the border of the face. Move it with gumball, and you want to rotate them while holding shift flat like that. Then we're going to top view again, and you can use offset. You can draw a line also. And then I want to split this into two lines. Join the profile of the drawers and go back to perspective view. Select those curves, rotate it back. You can type move it back. Now we only want the drawers profile, so delete the outside border and let's extrude this. Extrude curve, add the dimension, and delete the curves. Now I'm going to model this handle. What I would do is I will actually use the command arc, And then I can start from the midpoint of the box, and I can type in the dimension that I want, and you can go like that. But notice how it's too big for me, so I have to scale them down. There are three options of scale. Scale without anything behind it, that means it will scale it in 3D wise. 1D is one dimension, 2D is 2D. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now I have the things that I want, so I'm gonna move it vertically, so you can type yes on the vertical, move it down, and I'll use my gumball also, oops, to give you the offset that I want. I'm using minus because it's moving down and the arrow is pointing up. So let's say that's the place that I want. And I want to make a cylindrical shape of this thing, following the curve. So the command is pipe, and then you determine the start radius and the end radius. You can have them differently also, but in this case we want it to be the same. I'll delete the curves, select the object, use copy, and you can copy from one corner to another to maintain the offset distance. There are two ways to detail your edges, and you will use it a lot with corners like this for desk if you want to go into detail. One of them is by using fillet edges, and let's say I'm selecting that edge, and I hit space. I can set all, and I can set a dimension that I want, so I'll give the dimension for the fillet, and I can hit space again, and we'll do that. Another way that you will find a lot is through window frames, which is the beveling. So the command is chamfer edge. Same thing, select the edges that you want, and then you can determine the distance that you want. Let's say I'm doing more. Hit space. Notice the difference. This is more smooth, and that is more of a 45-degree cut.